Did you know? Rogue One is the first Star Wars movie to open without a crawl. And of course you know that. But according to writer Gary Whitta, the earliest drafts of the script did have a crawl. It was 3 paragraphs long like the other films, and it coincidentally had the same number of words as the opening crawl from A New Hope. The planet the Ersos are hiding on is called Lamu. It was named from a Nemoidian word meaning prosperity due to its fertile soil. Krennic's shuttle is a Delta-class T-3C. It wasn't nearly as popular or versatile as the Lambda-class shuttle more commonly used by the Empire, but Krennic favored the bold architecture of the Delta-class. He's literally a hipster. Jyn is 8 years old at this time. She and her family have been hiding on Lamu for 4 years. There's a message inscribed on the Kyber crystal Lyra gives to her daughter. It says, "Trust in the," presumably the next word is Force. It's unclear what Krennic's rank is at this point. Technically, his role is Director, but at the end of the book Catalyst, he negotiated himself to the naval rank equivalent of Lieutenant Commander, which is my best guess as to his rank now. Death Troopers have scrambled verbal communicators built into their helmets. When Krennic orders Lyra's execution, he's killing someone he has known for years. He and Lyra butted heads constantly in the novel Catalyst, and he always felt that she held Galen back from true genius. Lyra was originally going to be a Jedi who was killed in the days following the end of the Clone Wars, but the filmmakers didn't want the audience to think Jyn was Force-sensitive for the rest of the movie. Jyn's Stormtrooper doll was named Stormy. In present day, Jyn is 21 years old. The other prisoner in Jyn's cell is named Nail, and she openly plans to kill Jyn. The Ring of Kafrene was originally set up as an asteroid mining facility in the days of the Old Republic. Unfortunately, the asteroid belt didn't have many resources, so the colony was abandoned and converted into a trading outpost with the motto, "Where good dreams go bad." This alien is named Minas Durin after the famous special effects artist Dennis Muren. Cassian Andor is from the planet Fest, which first appeared in the video game Dark Forces. Edrio and Benthic Two-Tubes were eggmates, which means that their eggs grafted together before they hatched. This resulted in an unbreakable bond and even low-level telepathy between the two. Bodhi's name in the original script was Bokan. The purpose of the Wobani labor camp is unknown, but Jyn was sentenced to work there for 20 years. It was a known fact that any sentence longer than 5 was a death sentence. The prisoner transport is an old clone turbo tank, which can be seen in Revenge of the Sith. Mon Mothma is played by Genevieve O'Reilly, who played the character in deleted scenes from Revenge of the Sith, as well as provided her voice in Star Wars Rebels. By this point in time, Mon Mothma has been a fugitive from the Empire for about 2 years, after publicly ridiculing Emperor Palpatine and openly inciting rebellion. Bail Organa looks less regal than we last saw him, which is meant to be evidence that even wealthy planets like Alderaan have suffered under the Empire's rule. The Ghost from Star Wars Rebels can be seen at the temple on Yavin 4. Saw Gerrera has breathing problems thanks to Geonosian pesticide that he ingested while stranded on the planet. This story can be seen in the Star Wars Rebels episode Ghosts of Geonosis. Director Krennic's new rank plaque indicates that he is the equivalent of an admiral. Again, his rank is more symbolic than anything. Krennic views himself as more important than he is, so he overcompensates by negotiating promotions, traveling in special shuttles, and attaching a cape to his uniform. Ponda Baba and Dr. Evazan from Episode 4 can be not so subtly seen on Jedha. Evazan has been performing grisly surgeries on some of the locals there, so Jedha is likely one of the systems where he holds a death sentence. Weetief QB is played by Warwick Davis. Despite his small stature, he's known as one of the most destructive members of Saw Gerrera's partisans. The martial art Chirrut practices is Zama Shiwo, which translates to the inward eye of the outward hand. Baze's MWC-35C Staccato Lightning Repeater Cannon has 2 fire modes. The standard mode is rapid fire, and the secondary mode is a single fire power shot. When the Star Destroyer Dauntless hastily departs Jedha City, it leaves 3% of its crew behind to die. Beezer Fortuna is the cousin of Bib Fortuna from Return of the Jedi. He's one of Saw's chief strategists. It's been 5 years since Jyn and Saw were last together. The Death Star can scale down its destructive power. A single reactor ignition will still heavily damage a planet, but won't outright destroy it. It's currently unknown exactly how many reactors the Death Star had. One of the Death Star technicians is played by Rian Johnson, director of the upcoming film The Last Jedi. The other technician is his producer. Saw claims he will no longer run and stays behind to die on Jedha. In the novelization, it's clear he says this because he literally cannot run. He didn't want to slow Jyn down, and he wanted her to survive. The destruction of Jedha City is flimsily cited as a mining accident, yet the general public easily believe this. It's easy to forget that most galactic citizens have absolutely no idea what's really going on at other systems. Captain Tolvan was in charge of the security of the Imperial facility on Eadu. Her failure to prevent the rebel attack led to her fall from grace. Senator Tenra Pamlo represents the planet Terrace, which was a city planet first created for the video game Knights of the Old Republic. Over the intercom at the Yavin base, a General Syndulla is paged. This is meant to be Hera Syndulla from Star Wars Rebels. Speaking of the intercom, voice actor David Ankrum can be heard directing rebel fighters to Scarif. Although Dennis Lawson is the face of Wedge Antilles, Ankrum provided Wedge's voice in Episode 4. This was meant to show that Wedge is indeed at the rebel base, although he does not take part in the Battle of Scarif. And speaking of Wedge's audio cameo, at least he can be heard. A Biggs lookalike was seen at the rebel base in behind-the-scenes footage. Why he didn't actually appear in the film is beyond me. I suppose if he were at the Battle of Scarif, he would have spectacularly destroyed the Death Star right then and there. But more likely, it was timeline issues with his deleted yet canonical scenes with Luke on Tatooine. And one last cameo is Chopper, also from Star Wars Rebels. The flight control officer that speaks to Bodhi is voiced by Tony Gilroy, one of the writers of Rogue One. Over on Scarif, stormtroopers can be heard discussing T-15s becoming obsolete. This is a reference to a similar discussion about the new T-16s in A New Hope. The Citadel was considered to be one of the most secure locations of the Empire. As such, it was treated as somewhat of an easy assignment, or a good spot for officers to wait out their retirement, which explains the slow response time to the rebel attack. Shore Trooper squad leaders can be identified by the blue markings on their armor. The man that informs Grand Moff Tarkin of the attack on Scarif is General Hurst Ramadi, who can be seen in the conference room in A New Hope. One member of Blue Squadron has Sabine Wren's version of the Phoenix crest on his helmet. Red and Gold leaders were recreated by recycling archived footage originally shot for the Battle of Yavin, and I think I squealed a little in the theater when I saw them. The death of Red 5 is significant since that's the call sign Luke will have in A New Hope. The name of the TIE variant that delivers the Death Troopers to the beach is the TIE Reaper. It can also be seen earlier in the film at the Ring of Kafrene. Rogue One famously underwent some reshoots that significantly changed the Battle of Scarif. Originally, after retrieving the plans, Jyn, Cassian, and K2 would have had to escape the building only to run to a communications tower across the beach. This was simplified so that the Citadel contained both the vault and the communications tower. It would appear that Cassian and K2 would have died defending the entrance to the second building. Some of Saw Gerrera's partisans also look like they would have assisted in the Battle of Scarif, as evidenced by this behind-the-scenes photograph of Moroff on the beach. The Hammerhead cruiser made its debut in the game Knights of the Old Republic, was brought into the canon by Star Wars Rebels, and made its first film appearance in Rogue One. Krennic's revolver is a DT-29 heavy blaster pistol. It was non-regulation and customized. Ben Mendelsohn explained on the Star Wars show that it was an old-school 3-shot blaster. So add that to the hipster Krennic evidence pile. The novelization goes into Krennic's final thoughts before he takes a Death Star super laser to the face. In those moments, he realized the flaw of the thermal exhaust port, a flaw that he himself had approved as a speedy fix to a radiation buildup in the reactor. Earlier versions of the story had Krennic's death at Darth Vader's hands, but I honestly much prefer that he's killed by the very weapon he created. Director Gareth Edwards gave himself a cameo as the rebel soldier that pulls the lever to detach the Tantive 4 from the Profundity. That's it for today. I hope you learned something new about Rogue One, a Star Wars story. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel to keep up with Star Wars news and lore every single day, follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and consider checking out my Patreon page. As always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.